Hello everyone, this is Raven here with another gameplay replay of the Vampire Counts versus Wood Elves. So today, I just kind of went on the ladder and got a couple quick matches in before I started trying to cast these games and pump them out for you because I just kind of want to show off the new Heinrich Kemmler ability, which is the Lord of Undeath. So being able to summon Krell, which is the latest free DLC, old friend, we've been waiting for it for so very long, and I'm very happy that we finally got Krell for him. So these aren't the best games, just a couple games I had on the ladder where I just happened to win, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cast them and show you some general builds on how Krell plays, at least how I think he should be played, especially with his new added punch, because he was a pretty viable lord in my opinion if you played a more tanky, sustainable build with the vampire counts, and now when you have that extremely high DPS Krell summon after 2 minutes, he is just so much more viable now because it doesn't take a lot to be able to bring the ability Lord of Undeath, and it's so useful. Krell is just such a powerhouse, so we're going to see that a little bit today. Maybe not in this game, but the next game for sure when I get Krell out and I start trying to punish the enemy lord for being too close to Heinrich Himmler, and Krell's going to do his dutiful duties as the bodyguard that Krell has been, that Heinrich's been looking for so long since the game's release. Because we've been asking for it, Creative Assembly's been asking for it, Kemmler here has been running around asking where's Krell all day, every day, so we'll finally get to see it. So what makes Kemmler a pretty viable lord already was the Cloak of Mist and Shadow legendary item, 80% physical resistance, and the Strider ability, so he's pretty squishy right here. 15 armor, 2600 HP, not a lot, and pretty shitty weapon strength, honestly, and his melee stats are pretty pitiful as well, so we'll see him doing some good work, being able to survive in the front line with that pretty much ethereal physical resistance equivalent to right there. That item for I'm not sure how much gold it is, maybe 150 to 200, so not that much, and it's extremely useful because you have to keep him alive. As a vampire count, if you lose your legendary lord or whatever your lord choice is, it's just horrible. Your army just starts falling apart instantaneously, so it's very important. Chaos Tomb Blade here resurrects dead combatants over just replenishing the HP, kind of like the Mortis engine right here. It replenishes the HP in a very wide radius, but it does not resurrect anybody. And on top of that, it adds a +8 melee attack bonus, so say if it's on these Crypt Horrors, it'd be up to 38 melee attack or 30 melee attack, so on and so forth. So very good abilities overall with Kemmler. And over here, just go ahead and take a general look at the build now, I guess, against the Wood Elf. So I got the Graveguard here in the middle, just with shield, standard variety, not the armor piercing. You don't need that against the Wood Elves. They don't have enough armor. And then some fodder skeleton warriors in the front just to take up any arrows. So I brought the 2 Terrorgeist here just to kind of cancel out any air threats from the enemy Wood Elves over here. As you can see, he has a Glade Lady, I believe it is, actually, on the Great Eagle. As you can see there, Arrows of Kurnos, Potion of Toughness and Prey of Anathrama. And then you can see the Hawk Riders over here, so good air presence, so good pick on my part. I wasn't fully expecting it, but I was rewarded with my guess. Over here, 2 units Wild Riders, and then 6 units of Deepwood Scouts, and then the Glade Riders with Hagbane tips here, so poison damage whenever they strike, but they also do magical damage, so anything ethereal, they just punch straight through that ethereal bonus for the 80 physical resistance. Over here, Deepwood Scouts don't have any kind of armor-piercing damage, really, and they don't do magical attacks or flaming attacks or anything like that, but they do have that 360-degree arc of fire and are able to run around as they do so. As you can see, the big old circles here for them being able to run around, and then you can see a pretty shallow front line of just 4 Eternal Guard units here without shields, so very basic. So I'm just going to run in here, just trying to keep my Mortis engine alive right here. Pretty big investment. It's getting shot down pretty heavily by all these archers over here, so I can't really help that. Oh, these guys actually have the Swift Shiver Shards. I didn't catch that. I'm sorry about that, y'all. So they actually shoot the 2 arrows at once and do magical damage as well, so good for them. I would really enjoy the Swift Shiver Shards over here. So, as you can see, I just kind of go for a more melee grind. If you can get Kemmler into the front line engaging stuff while you have whole bunches of units around him, he'll start healing them all out very rapidly and reviving models potentially. So over here I just decided to throw away my Crypt Horrors here and pull in a lot of units over here to tie down my Terror guys, because he's going to be able to tank down lots of the damage out of these Wild Riders with his 80 armor and extremely good damage, especially with that bonus versus large. So gonna be doing good work against these archers over here because my Cryptors were able to catch them. The Terror Geist over here was able to catch some of these Wild Riders and get some initial kills off on them. Not doing a whole lot, but still 8 kills on some Wild Riders. That's doing good damage already. Over here, these Hawk Riders decided to engage and aren't going to be doing very well because the Sternsmen have extremely good armor, even though they do have that armor-piercing damage. With their very good damage back at them, with their 15 armor and the added damage of the Mortis engine right here, 120 weapon strength, that's just going to be devastating to these poor Hawk Riders. You can see Terror kicking in there. So Kemmler does get summoned in the front line, and you're going to be seeing him terrify and rout several units because he just does so much damage. So he's just going to be the real, like, I guess you could just say, like, the real killer of this build is not only just the atrocious style of play that Kemmler provides, but the extremely good attacking power that Krell provides to this build that it would have lacked otherwise. Is now present because if you get him on a Lord that's on foot, whereas a Terrorgeist or a Cryptor might hit them and knock them around, Krell is just a regular Lord, so he has a much, well, not a regular Lord, but pretty much should be. He has a much lower chance of being able to knock down an opponent, and you can see he has 100 armor, 70 leadership, but he's unbreakable because he's a summon unit, and he has 470 weapon strength. And I believe 260 of that is armor piercing. Yes, it is. And then he's got a pretty substantial charge bonus and does cause terror. So he's a foot unit that causes terror and fear. So this guy is no joke. Put him on anything and he's probably going to win, hands down. It backed up by the support of Kemmler over here, who's just getting shot to pieces, unfortunately, but you can't really help that. His bodyguard did get kind of drawn away and is trying to engage on these guys. Trying to get rid of these Wild Riders. So, Kemmler is still very, very squishy Lord, but with the added benefits of having Krell in any build, it's just going to be amazing. As you can see, Krell just started wandering down here and immediately terrified this Wild Rider unit. And then I'm going to stick him onto this group of Eternal Guard right here, and he's going to be able to chump them out. He's just going to be doing so much damage to them. Over here, I just send my 2 Terror Guys to go deal with both of the flying units. This Terror Geist actually gets in a fight with the Glade Lord over here, so that's going to be amazing for me. Be able to tear him apart, no problem. These Cryptors are doing good work for me. Very low kills, but they have been tying up their the archers of my opponent the entire game. And with their good regeneration, they're still at 6 models, even though they've been focused down extremely hard by the 6 different missile units, and kept my armory relatively intact, even with the loss of the Mortis engine. And Kemmler over here is looking pretty rough because he did get focused down a little bit by the archers when he got separated from the pack. So I'm trying to pull in units and pull him back to try and get some of the shots absorbed by them and just kind of keep him closer to Krell should the Glade Lady get free and try and dive bomb him. So as you can see, army losses just kind of kick in and my opponent goes ahead and routes from the field. So, you know, like I said, not the greatest game. It does show, though, that the atrocious gameplay is what Kemmler is best at, and Krell can get in there and do some good terror as well. I did have good terror already due to the 2 Terror Guys being in the air and being able to sick them on any large units like these Wild Riders or the Hawk Riders or the Glade Lord, and they're going to do extremely good work for me. As you can see, this one picked up a Chevron with only 30 kills, so very good work out of him. Let's take a look at another game real quick here. So just an autosave, just recently did this one, and we'll take a look at it. So as you can see, relatively similar build as the one I showed y'all against the Dwarves very, very early on in my channel, where I had Kemmler saying, you know, where's Krell in that giant mosh pit? You might recognize that photo from Game of Thrones if y'all actually keep up with that show, which I'm very excited that it's back on TV. I fucking love that show, so good stuff, good stuff. But as you can see, just 2 skeleton warriors in the front, always just that generic little meat shield. I like bringing them. And then 4 Graveguard with great weapons and the Sternsmen. Sternsmen are pretty much a staple in every single Vampire Count build that I bring. And this one's a more competitive build, honestly, that I bring with Kemmler because 2 Mortis engines tied in with the Unholy Lodestone and then the regeneration of Kemmler. Everybody's going to have regeneration. Everybody's going to be being resurrected. This build is just stupid. And with the new buff, I would definitely call it, to Kemmler with the let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at it again. So being able to summon Krell just is so good. Like, look at all these buffs he has, and he's not even in combat. He's got replenishment, another replenishment, and then the Vigor Mortis, plus 8 melee defense, plus 8 melee attack, and replenishment from just his own ability, the Master of the Dead over here. So whether he's in melee or he's not in melee, he's going to be healing people and resurrecting people, and my Mortis engines and my corpse card are going to be healing people as well. So even against other vampire counts, this build is just so ridiculous. Y'all really just have to look. So I just do a little bit of footseeing around here, just kind of trying to get pre-positioned right here, because I'm going to use this terrain to my advantage, because he does have a lot of cavalry over here for my opponent, 2 Blood Knights and then the Dire Pack, so if they were to get in on my Crypt Horrors or whatever in the back here, that would be pretty sad for me. Oh, sorry, my dogs there did get a little bit anxious. They're trying to fight each other. Forgive me for that. Over here you can see that my 2 units of Crypt Horrors are actually going to be the pretty big punch for me in my army this game. If my opponents did bring a lot of other armored units or any kind of cavalry into the back, I would try and saturate them into any infantry that I have and try and pull them into that engagement and allow the Crypt Horrors to try and not take as much damage and rely on the regeneration extremely high weapon strength to be able to punch through, while having the nearby friendly units to aid them in not having to take so much damage. So right here, my opponent takes off and uses a Spirit Leech right here, and I'm just like, you know, well, whatever. It's just a Spirit Leech on a Mortis engine. The Mortis engine has so much HP. I don't even care about that. So it's just kind of whatever. And then I was going to go ahead and just engage, because I was like, I don't want to wait here all day. As you can see, the timer goes down to 3 minutes and 3.5 minutes. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to pull these guys forward. And then I was like, maybe he's going to try and come around and engage. And then I was like, all right, he's not going to for a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in there hot and heavy and try and get this fight underway. So as you can see, I engage in the front line here, and it's just a giant blob fest. And I just kind of pull the Mortis engine out to the back a little bit to try and keep it from taking immediate damage. I pulled it out a little bit too far, though. As you can see, if I take a look at the... where is it? The Reliquary Corruption. It doesn't quite tag too many units. It only gets 2, the Lord and this Graveguard with Great Weapon unit over here. So, but my opponent here just sadly does not have a very opportunist and advantageous engagement, excuse me, because I do have this terrain right here and he can't really get by. He does get a good surround with the Dire Pack off on my Mortis engine, but my front lines are just so blobby, and I have a regeneration unit on all, like, everywhere. So Mortis engine's covering everything right here. The corpse card's getting pretty much the entire army with that bonus that it gives for the Vigor Mortis, and this Mortis engine over here is able to tag all these units over here and regenerate them. So Krell is actually getting a little bit beat up right now. He's not able to get as many hits off on Vlad von Karstein as I'd like, which is unfortunate. So I go ahead and pop a nice heal, keep him nice and healthy. But you'll see pretty soon when I start re-engaging them more fully and I get rid of all this this fluff here, that they're going to start laying the absolute smackdown on that man. So Vlad's going to get torn apart pretty soon. You just have to wait for it. So, like I said, like, this is just such a dumb build. It takes almost no skill. So, unfortunately, these are the builds you're probably going to start seeing by vampire counts. So I was just kind of trying to show off exactly what happens, because you can just stack your units in the front line and nothing's going to happen, because there's just so much regeneration and healing. And if you counterpick your opponent good enough with the your unit choices, like I brought a Graveguard to match each one of his Graveguard units, and then I had an extra Graveguard with great weapons to deal with the Skeleton Spearmen, and then 2 Skeleton Warriors of my own, not including the Raised Dead unit. So over here, Raised Dead, and I bog up these Blood Knights right here, and I'm going to keep raising dead, and they're not going to be able to escape. I pop another heal right here, and it's just like, what can you do against this? Like, it's pretty cheap, I understand that, but this is exactly what Kemmler does. Bogs down the enemy, replenishes the HP of everybody around him, and starts regenerating them. Over here you can see this fight was just won handily by all my units. They're in such good shape. This Skeleton Warrior is the only one that's beat up, and it's not even half dead, and has 13 kills, which is pretty surprising, because for the most part it was fighting Graveguard over here with great weapons. So I stick Krell in, and he's going to lay down the absolute smack on poor Vlad von Karstein here. So as you can see, Krell is an absolute badass. He's going to be doing some good work to Vlad von Karstein here. So unfortunately for my opponent, just the healing blob for the vampire counts now is just going to be so ridiculous and so strong. The vampire counts already being a tier 1 faction, now having access to Krell with all this this kind of play is just way too much. So very unfortunate for my opponent that I just happened to pick him too. I was hoping that he would pick Kemmler and we'd kind of go with 2 interesting builds, and I was hoping to maybe see like some Winds of Death out of him if he got him positioned correctly or something like that. But unfortunately we didn't see anything like that today. Very good games to both my opponents, but as you can see, just the healing blob for vampire counts is going to be what rules the meta for a while, I'm pretty sure. This the addition of Krell is just too much, I think, for the vampire counts. They're just so stupid strong now. You can, like, as you can see, like, my front line, it's completely fine. All my units are at full HP except for 1, 2, 3 units, which is just 2 skeleton warriors, really. And then the Graveguard unit right here losing about 25% of its HP, and I'm not sure how many models, honestly. Lost 121 people, but that could just be the skeleton warriors I summoned in the back. I'm not quite sure how they fit into the kill count of units, but overall, it's just, what can you do against this? So overall, I'm very, very happy with the addition of Krell. I've been so happy with him, playing with him. He looks amazing. He does amazing work in the front line and can be useful in other builds besides just tanky ones like this. But I'm just, with how Kemmler plays, this is probably what's going to be happening a lot in the meta game. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you to Creative Assembly for releasing Krell, especially for him being free. I love all the free LC that they release, well, including the Blood Knights too, the very first free LC. So that's awesome. So as always, guys, if you like what you saw, go ahead and leave a like. Criticize in the comments down below if you'd like to say something to help make this a better video for y'all. And then, as always, if y'all like to see more, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.